The morning of October 15th started like any other day at the Global Space Communications Center in Colorado. The coffee was bitter, the computers hummed their usual tune, and the staff went about their regular duties. No one could have guessed that in just 5 hours, the fate of humanity would change forever. At exactly 800 hours, every screen in the control room started flashing red. Tom Baker, the lead communication officer, nearly spilled his coffee when he saw the incoming signal. It wasn't from any Earth satellite or space station. It was coming from the edge of our solar system. "Sir, you need to see this," Tom called out to his supervisor, his voice shaking slightly. Within minutes, the room was filled with senior officials, all staring at the main screen in silence. The message was short, clear, and terrifying. "Surrender or die. You have 5 hours to comply." Nobody laughed. Nobody thought it was a joke. The signal's power and complexity were far beyond anything humans could produce. This was it, humanity's first contact with alien life, and they weren't here to make friends. Military bases worldwide erupted into action. In the Pentagon's underground command center, Commander James Stone stood before a wall of screens showing the approaching alien fleet. Their ships were massive, each one larger than the biggest aircraft carrier ever built. The fleet moved with perfect precision, their formation like a deadly dance in space. "What are our options?" asked the president, his face pale on the main video screen. Leaders from other nations joined the emergency video conference, their faces showing a mix of fear and determination. Commander Stone studied the tactical display. 20 years in the military had taught him to look for patterns, and something about the alien fleet's movement caught his eye. It was too perfect, too structured. No living pilots could maintain such precise formations. "They're using automated systems," Stone muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Their entire fleet moves like a computer program." The next 3 hours were chaos. Some nations wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to launch every nuclear missile Earth had. Through it all, Stone kept watching, thinking, and planning. Dr. Anna Wright, head of the military's technology division, burst into the command center with important news. Her team had been analyzing the alien signal. "Commander, their transmission technology, it's beyond advanced, but it follows strict mathematical patterns. Everything they do is based on logic and..." The alien fleet moved closer to Earth, their massive ships blocking out distant stars. In the Pentagon's command center, Commander Stone watched their approach on the main screen. His plan was either brilliant or completely insane. There would be no middle ground. "All stations, maintain radio silence except for surrender broadcasts," Stone ordered. Around the world, military bases went quiet. Only a continuous stream of surrender messages kept flowing into space, making Earth look defeated and scared. The alien ships slowed down, exactly as Stone had predicted. They were following their programming. When an enemy surrenders, you move cautiously to accept their submission. It was perfect military logic, and that's why it would fail. "Dr. Wright," Stone called out to the scientist, who hadn't left her computer station for hours. "What have you learned about their communication system?" Anna Wright pushed her glasses up and pointed to her screen. "They're using a quantum-based network, but it's rigid. Their ships talk to each other constantly, sharing data, making decisions based on pure logic. It's like they're all part of one giant computer." Stone smiled. "And what happens to computers when they get bad data?" "They crash," Wright replied, finally understanding his plan. "You're going to feed their system so much chaos that it won't know what to do." In orbit, the International Space Station appeared to power down, looking abandoned. But inside, astronauts were busy rewiring communication systems. They weren't shutting down. They were preparing to become the biggest radar jammer ever built. On the ground, truck drivers across the world received strange text messages. "Drive to the following coordinates. Park your vehicle. Leave the engine running. Thousands of trucks began moving to specific locations, creating a pattern that only made sense when viewed from space. In the oceans, cargo ships changed course. Fishing boats gathered in seemingly random clusters. Train schedules worldwide were altered. To the aliens' predictive computers, Earth looked like it was shutting down in defeat, but it was actually becoming one giant trap. Project Echo is at 85% coverage, reported Tom Baker from his communication station. The quantum network Stone had activated was now connecting military forces in ways the aliens couldn't detect. It used principles so basic that their advanced technology overlooked them completely. Major Robert Miller's voice crackled through a secure channel. "Sir, Task Force Delta is in position. All weapons are masked as debris. The aliens are scanning us, but their computers are classifying us as space junk." Stone checked his watch. 1 hour had passed since they started their response. The alien fleet was now inside Mars orbit, their formation still perfect, still following textbook military tactics. They had no idea they were flying into a web. "Dr. Wright," Stone called out. "Start Phase 2. Wright's fingers flew across her keyboard. Around the world, old radio telescopes that hadn't been used in decades came to life. They began broadcasting seemingly random signals. Old TV shows, radio programs, weather reports. To the aliens, it looked like Earth's communication network was falling apart in panic. "Their fleet is adjusting formation," reported an analyst. "They're spreading out to standard invasion protocol." Stone nodded. The aliens were following their programming perfectly. When an enemy's communication breaks down, you spread your forces to prepare for scattered resistance. It was the logical thing to do. It was also exactly what Stone wanted. All stations, Stone broadcast through Project Echo. "Prepare for Phase 3. Remember, no patterns, no logic, no standard military responses. When the signal comes, everyone acts randomly within their assigned zones." He looked at the massive alien ships on the screen. They were so advanced, so powerful, so perfect in their military precision. And that was their weakness. They had forgotten one crucial thing about humans. When pushed into a corner, logic and reason were the first things to go out the window. The second hour was about to begin, and Earth's real plan was ready to unfold. The aliens were about to learn that humans were at their most dangerous when they stopped making sense. "May chaos be our sword and confusion our shield," Stone muttered his father's old saying. "Let's show them how humans fight when there's nothing left to lose." Dr. Anna Wright hadn't slept in 24 hours, but her eyes were wide with excitement as she burst into the command center. Her team had just made a breakthrough in understanding the alien technology, and what they found changed everything. "Commander Stone," she called out, waving a tablet. "We've cracked their communication code. You won't believe what we found." Stone quickly gathered the senior staff around the main tactical table. The holographic display showed the alien fleet's movements over the past 2 hours. Wright plugged her tablet into the system, and new data appeared in glowing red lines. "Look at this," she said, pointing to the pattern. "Their entire battle system is run by a predictive AI. It's not just giving them advice, it's controlling everything. Their weapons, their movements, even their decision-making." She pulled up more data. "The AI works by analyzing past battles, studying enemy tactics, and calculating the most logical responses. But here's the thing. They have no data on Earth, no history of our battles. The AI is trying to predict what we'll do based only on basic military logic." Stone leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the display. "So when we act illogically, their entire system struggles to adapt." Wright finished. "It's like playing chess against a computer, but we're allowed to move the pieces in ways that aren't in the rulebook." Around the room, faces lit up with understanding. Humans had spent centuries developing military strategies, writing rules of engagement, and creating perfect battle plans. But now, their greatest advantage would be throwing all of that out the window. Major Miller's voice came through the quantum network. "Sir, we're seeing something strange. The alien ships keep scanning the same areas repeatedly. It's like they're double-checking their own data. That's because we're confusing them, Wright explained. Their AI expects us to either fight back with everything we have or surrender completely. Instead, we're doing neither. We're giving them contradictory information. On the main screen, they watched as Earth's broken communications continued to flood space with random signals. Civilian ships drifted in patterns that made no tactical sense. Military bases remained silent while shopping malls kept their lights on at full power. Time for the next phase, Stone announced. Dr. Wright, show them what you found about their targeting systems. Wright nodded and sent new commands through Project Echo. Across Earth, thousands of old television antennas began broadcasting on frequencies that hadn't been used in decades. The signals were simple, too simple for the aliens' advanced systems to take seriously. Their AI is designed to counter advanced technology, Wright explained. It expects encryption, digital signals, quantum communications, but we're using technology so old and basic that their systems see it as background noise. The alien fleet's formation shifted again, trying to adapt to the confusing data they were receiving. Their perfect geometric patterns started showing small flaws as their AI struggled to make sense of Earth's apparently chaotic behavior. Look at this, one of Wright's analysts called out. Their ships are starting to have gaps in their defensive screens. The AI is so focused on finding patterns in our behavior that it's making mistakes in basic fleet protection. Stone smiled. It was working better than he had hoped. The aliens had built the perfect system for fighting a logical, organized enemy. But humans were about to show them that logic wasn't always the answer. Send the next set of orders, he commanded. Tell our forces to start Phase 4. And remember, the crazier their actions look, the better. As the second hour drew to a close, Earth's military forces prepared for their most unconventional battle ever. Fishing boats carried hidden EMP weapons. Crop-dusting planes were loaded with experimental radar-jamming dust. Even the public transportation systems of major cities were part of the plan, though their role wouldn't become clear until the critical moment. Sir, Wright said, looking at her data, the alien AI is showing signs of severe processing strain. It's trying to calculate too many possibilities at once. Stone nodded grimly. Good, because in the next hour, we're going to give it more data than it can handle. It's time to show these aliens why Earth never developed perfect AI for warfare. Sometimes, the best strategy is no strategy at all. At exactly 3 hours into the alien ultimatum, Commander Stone gave the order everyone was waiting for: begin Operation Madness. What happened next would be remembered as the strangest battle in human history. Across the globe, Earth's forces launched their attack, but not in any way the aliens could have predicted. In the Pacific Ocean, a fleet of fishing boats suddenly switched on massive speakers, blasting old dial-up internet sounds into the water. The noise made no sense as a weapon, but it created underwater sound patterns that confused the aliens' sensor systems. First blood. Major Miller's voice crackled through Project Echo. His teams had hidden inside what looked like abandoned cargo containers in orbit. Now these containers burst open, revealing ships so old and simple that they barely showed up on alien scans. Keep it random, Stone ordered through the quantum network. No patterns, no formations. Miller's ships moved like drunk butterflies, zigzagging through space in ways that defied both physics and logic. The alien fleet's perfect formation started breaking apart as their AI frantically tried to predict where these apparently malfunctioning ships would go next. In the command center, Dr. Wright watched the alien communication network light up with confused signals. Their AI is trying to find logic in our attack pattern, she reported, grinning. But there is no pattern. Around Earth, more chaos unfolded. A group of crop-dusting planes released clouds of metallic dust into the air, creating false radar signatures that made it look like thousands of fighters were appearing and disappearing at random. Old weather satellites, reprogrammed for battle, started spinning in impossible ways, spraying clouds of small metal pieces. To the aliens' advanced targeting systems, it looked like Earth was falling apart, with debris flying everywhere. "Sir," Tom Baker called from his station, "the alien ships are firing at the debris clouds." Stone nodded with satisfaction. The alien AI was doing exactly what they hoped, wasting ammunition on ghost targets while the real attack prepared. In low orbit, the International Space Station executed its part of the plan. Instead of broadcasting the surrender messages, it now sent out every type of signal it could generate, from radio waves to microwave frequencies. The alien ships closest to it began showing signs of confusion, their perfect formation becoming increasingly disorganized. "Major Miller, status report," Stone called. "You won't believe this, sir," Miller replied, his voice excited. "We just took out one of their smaller ships. We crashed a space bus into it." "A space bus?" someone in the command center asked. "An old shuttle we painted to look like a public transport," Miller explained. Their AI didn't even register it as a threat until it was too late. It was carrying an experimental EMP device. When it hit, their shields didn't even try to stop it. More reports started coming in. A group of tugboats had somehow managed to disable an alien destroyer using nothing but modified fishing nets and old radar equipment. A swarm of weather balloons carrying simple radio transmitters had caused 3 alien cruisers to crash into each other. "Their AI is failing," Wright announced, her eyes fixed on her screens. "It's receiving too much contradictory data. Their ships are starting to act independently because their central control system can't keep up with our chaos." Stone watched the main tactical display as the perfect alien formation collapsed into confusion. Their mighty fleet, capable of destroying worlds, was being defeated by fishing boats, space buses, and weather balloons. "Send in the next wave," Stone ordered. "Tell everyone to keep changing tactics. If something works, don't do it twice." The moment their AI adapts to one trick, switch to something completely different. As the third hour came to a close, humanity's bizarre counterattack had achieved what normal military tactics never could. The alien fleet, with all its advanced technology, was falling apart in the face of pure, calculated chaos. "Sir," Wright called out, her voice filled with amazement, I think we're actually winning." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "We're not winning yet, Doctor, but we're about to show them Phase 5. And if they think this was chaos, they haven't seen anything yet." As the fourth hour began, Earth's forces unleashed their strangest weapons yet. Commander Stone watched from the command center as Phase 5 of Operation Madness unfolded across the planet and in space. "Release the miners," Stone ordered, his voice steady. Deep in the asteroid belt, 300 mining ships that had been hiding behind rocks sprang into action. These weren't military vessels. They were just regular mining ships with drilling lasers meant for cutting rocks. But now they charged toward the alien fleet, spinning wildly and firing their industrial lasers in random directions. "The aliens don't know how to classify them," Dr. Wright reported, watching her screens. "Their AI keeps switching between marking them as industrial equipment and malfunctioning debris. They can't decide if they're a threat or not." The mining ships' random attack patterns confused the alien targeting systems. Their advanced shields, designed to stop military weapons, didn't recognize simple mining lasers as threats until those lasers started cutting holes in their ships. Meanwhile, on Earth, Phase 5 continued with even more crazy tactics. In the Sahara Desert, thousands of solar panels suddenly shifted position, creating massive glare patterns that blinded alien sensors. In Antarctica, research stations began broadcasting whale songs into space, scrambling the aliens' communication frequencies. "Major Miller, deploy the Cloudmakers," Stone commanded. High above Earth, Miller's teams released their strangest weapon yet, hundreds of boxes containing nothing but water and air. In the vacuum of space, the boxes burst, creating instant clouds of ice crystals. These clouds weren't dangerous, but they created so many radar reflections that the alien targeting computers crashed trying to track them all. "Sir," Tom Baker shouted from his station, "you need to see this." On the main screen, they watched as three massive alien battleships, confused by the ice clouds, fired their weapons at each other. Their AI, trying to make sense of the radar chaos, had made a fatal error. Dr. Wright's team had more good news. "Commander, our old technology is working better than we hoped. The aliens' advanced systems can't handle the simple radio waves we're using. It's like trying to use a supercomputer to read a children's book. They're overthinking everything." Around Earth, more unconventional attacks succeeded. A group of skydivers jumped from high-altitude planes, their suits covered in radar-reflecting material. The alien ships wasted expensive missiles trying to hit these slow-falling targets. "Look at their formation now," Stone said, pointing to the tactical display. The once perfect alien fleet was in chaos. Ships moved in random directions, their AI unable to form a coherent battle strategy. Some vessels crashed into each other while trying to avoid imaginary threats. Others fired at shadows created by Earth's simple tricks. "Their main command ship is isolated," Major Miller reported. "Our random attacks have scattered their fleet so much that they can't maintain their defensive positions." Stone nodded. This was what they had been waiting for. "Dr. Wright, are you ready with the final surprise?" Wright smiled and held up an old smartphone. "You won't believe what we found, sir. Their entire fleet runs on a quantum network similar to our old Bluetooth technology. And guess what? They never thought to add basic security because they assumed no primitive species would understand quantum communications." "And that old phone?" Stone asked, raising an eyebrow. "It's running an app that our teenagers use to share music," Wright replied. "But we modified it. When we broadcast its signal through our quantum network." She didn't need to finish. On the main screen, they watched as alien ships started losing power. Their quantum network, designed to handle complex military data, was being overwhelmed by millions of simple connection requests, the equivalent of a quantum DDoS attack. 4 hours in, Stone announced, checking his watch, "and we've driven them into complete confusion using nothing but creative thinking and outdated technology." He turned to his staff. "But don't celebrate yet. We have 1 hour left, and now it's time for the final phase. The one that will end this war." The command center buzzed with energy. In just 1 more hour, they would show the aliens the true meaning of human ingenuity. With just 30 minutes left until the aliens' deadline, Commander Stone revealed the true purpose of Project Echo. It wasn't just a communication network, it was humanity's secret weapon. "Dr. Wright," Stone called out, "activate the Echo protocol." Wright's fingers flew across her keyboard. "Are you sure about this, sir? Once we start, there's no going back." Stone looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was already in chaos, their ships scattered and confused. Now it was time to deliver the knockout punch. "Do it," he ordered. Wright pressed the final key, and Project Echo came fully alive. Every electronic device on Earth, from smartphones to toasters, from TV stations to garage door openers, began broadcasting signals into space. But these weren't random signals anymore. They were all parts of a massive puzzle. "Major Miller, status of the space mirrors?" Stone asked. "All in position, sir," Miller reported. 3,000 old satellite dishes and solar panels, all ready to reflect signals on your command. In the command center, they watched as Earth seemingly lit up like a Christmas tree. Every city, every town, every village was now part of the biggest transmitter ever built. The alien ship's sensors were bombarded with more data than they had ever encountered. "Their AI is trying to analyze the pattern," Wright reported, watching her screens. "But there is no pattern. And that is the pattern." Stone smiled. This was the genius of Project Echo. Instead of creating one powerful signal, they had created millions of small signals that came together like a massive puzzle. Each piece meant nothing by itself, But together, they formed a weapon more powerful than any missile. Look, Tom Baker pointed at his screen. Their ships, they're all turning to face Earth. The alien vessels, their AI systems desperately trying to make sense of the overwhelming data, had automatically oriented themselves toward the source of the signals. It was exactly what Stone had planned. Now, Dr. Wright, he commanded. Wright activated the final phase. Every signal suddenly changed frequency at exactly the same time. The space mirrors repositioned themselves in perfect synchronization. The effect was like a global strobe light, but instead of light, it was pure data. The alien fleet's reaction was immediate and devastating. Their quantum communication network, already strained by human chaos, now faced an overload of synchronized signals. It was like trying to drink from a fire hose. Their advanced systems simply couldn't handle it. Their main computer core is crashing, Wright announced excitedly. The AI can't process this many synchronized signals. On the tactical display, they watched as alien ships began shutting down. Their perfect technology, designed to handle complex military operations, was being defeated by the digital equivalent of everyone on Earth shouting at once. Major Miller, Stone called out, "Commence Operation Blackout." Miller's teams, hidden in the debris field they had created earlier, now launched their simplest weapon yet, old computer viruses from the 1990s, modified to work on quantum systems. While the alien's eye was distracted by Project Echo's signals, these basic viruses slipped through their defenses. "Sir," Wright called out, her voice filled with disbelief, "you won't believe this. The viruses, they're working. Their systems are so advanced that they have no defense against something this primitive." The command center erupted in cheers as they watched alien ship after alien ship go dark. Their mighty fleet, capable of destroying worlds, was being defeated by technology so old and simple it belonged in a museum. "Message from their command ship," Baker announced. They're asking for our terms of surrender." Stone checked his watch. They had done it with 15 minutes to spare. Humanity had won not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with creativity, unpredictability, and the willingness to try the impossible. "Send them our response," Stone ordered, standing tall. "Tell them." He paused, allowing himself a moment to appreciate the historic significance of this victory. "Tell them that Earth accepts their surrender, and we expect them to be gone from our solar system within the next 15 minutes. The final phase of humanity's defense had worked. Now there was just one more piece to put in place, ensuring this would never happen again. As the final 15 minutes of the 5-hour ultimatum ticked away, humanity watched their greatest victory unfold. The alien fleet, once so mighty and threatening, now hung powerless in space, their advanced systems completely defeated by Earth's creative chaos. In the Pentagon's command center, Commander Stone wasn't done yet. He turned to Dr. Wright, who was still monitoring the alien ship's systems through their now compromised network. "Time for the farewell gift," Stone said. "Send them the package." Wright nodded and pressed a series of keys. Through the quantum network they had hacked, Earth transmitted one final piece of data to the alien fleet. It wasn't a weapon or a threat. It was a simple video game from the 1970s called Hong. "Sir?" Major Miller's voice came through, confused. "Are we really sending them a game?" Stone smiled. "Not just a game, Major. We're sending them proof that even our simplest creations can't be predicted. Let them try to find a pattern in how that little dot bounces around." The alien command ship's response was immediate. Their quantum computers, designed to process the most complex military calculations, crashed trying to predict the simple back-and-forth movements of Pong. It was the final humiliation for their eye-dependent civilization. "Message from their commander," Tom Baker announced. The alien leader appeared on the main screen, their appearance obscured by strange armor. "How?" the alien commander asked, their translated voice filled with disbelief. "How did you defeat our perfect systems?" Stone stood tall as he addressed them. "Because perfection is predictable," he replied. "And humans are anything but perfect. We're chaotic, illogical, and creative. That's not our weakness. It's our strength." Across Earth, people emerged from their shelters to watch the alien ships retreat. The massive vessels, now running on backup systems, slowly turned away from Earth. Their perfect formation was gone, replaced by an almost shameful withdrawal. In orbit, Major Miller's teams began collecting debris from the battle. Among the wreckage, they found pieces of alien technology that had been destroyed not by advanced weapons, but by space buses, mining lasers, and modified fishing nets. "Dr. Wright," Stone called out, "prepare the final message. The one for their homeworld." Wright had spent the last few minutes creating this message with her team. It was simple, clear, and carried humanity's most powerful weapon: unpredictability. The message began transmitting. "To the empire that sent this fleet, you tried to conquer Earth with perfect logic and failed. We defeated your best ships with mining tools and old computer games. We crashed your advanced AI with basic signals and simple chaos. Remember this: Earth will always be ready, but our defense will never be predictable. Next time, we might fight with music or dance, or maybe we'll just tell jokes. You'll never know until it's too late." As the message went out, the alien fleet disappeared into deep space, leaving behind only scattered debris and a story that would be told for generations. In the command center, the staff finally allowed themselves to celebrate. They had won a war not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with humanity's greatest traits: creativity, adaptability, and the courage to try the impossible. "Sir," Wright called out one last time, "I'm picking up transmissions from the retreating fleet. They're sending warnings to every corner of their empire. Want to know what they're saying about Earth?" Stone nodded, and Wright read the translated message: "Avoid the Sol system. The species there doesn't make sense. Their chaos is their weapon. Their unpredictability is their shield. They are not to be attacked. They are to be feared." Commander Stone looked at his watch one final time. 5 hours had passed exactly. In that time, humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. They had proved that sometimes the best strategy was to have no strategy at all. "Well," Stone said, addressing his tired but proud staff, "I believe it's time for coffee. After all, it's been a rather interesting morning." The room erupted in laughter, the kind of simple, chaotic, perfectly human sound that no alien eye would ever understand. Earth was safe, and its greatest defense wasn't its weapons or technology, but the wonderfully unpredictable spirit of humanity itself.